It is Saturday, June 1st, and you are watching You Don't Watch Sports right here on the Feo Grande YouTube network. I am Bill Smith, and I am joined as always by the man, the myth, the legend, Feo Grande himself, Omari Ellis. Omari, how's your sports week?
Hey, my work week has been great. How about you?
It was a good sports week.
Well, yeah.
You
So,
know, we'll get into it. I got some MLB talk. We're bringing MLB back, and then wrestling has been firing all cylinders. Both companies are going crazy, and I'm loving enjoying it. Looks like we're running back Cody AJ Styles too, and that match was sick. So
that's
looking forward to that. But we are going to get into our three topics that are not going to be wrestling this week because we got a bunch of sports to cover here on You Don't Watch Sports. We cover just three topics, just to sprinkle a little bit of sports information into your conversation. We are the guiding light through the sea that is sports talk. Now, topic number one, we got our playoffs still going on. Omari, it feels like NBA, NHL playoffs never end.
correct. The best of seven series, they just keep going, going and going. But, however, that said, we are reaching the finals of the NBA, where the finals is set. It will be Luka Doncic, Kyrie Irving, and the Dallas Mavericks taking on Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and the Boston Celtics. The Boston Celtics have not had any difficulty this playoff. They are a shoe-in to win this thing, much to the chagrin of everybody not from the northeastern part of the country. But it is what it is. I'm rooting for the Mavericks. Let's go. Let's do this. Let's have Luka and Kyrie mad that no one's giving them the respect they think they deserve and actually do deserve. They deserve respect. You can respect more than one basketball player, and they're trying to get it, and they will with this championship, taking down the juggernaut that is the current Boston Celtics. This is their what, like fourth time in the finals in like 6 years or some shit for the Celtics.
Yeah, but they haven't won in quite a long time. So yeah, I mean, I do not hate the city of Boston. In fact, I don't really dislike any of their teams. I'm not a fan of any of the Boston teams, but I'm also not whatever the opposite of a fan is. So for me, and we talked, I think, off mic last week, or we talked off mic at some point, and you referred to some folks out there being Kyrie haters. And I may be one of those Kyrie haters. I don't particularly know why. But I'm kind of a Kyrie hater, and I don't know if I loved Luca, and I'd love to see Luca. We talked about him always being the bridesmaid, never the bride in championships and MVPs and all of those kind of things. So it would be nice to see him win, but also I'm weirdly anti Kyrie. I don't know.
Full disclosure, I was kind of anti Kyrie ever since he left LeBron to join the Celtics. Uh, but in recent years, and then he had the whole trade me back and forth stuff, and the media had all their stuff and whatever. So I didn't look at him in I'd be lying if I said I've been a Kyrie fan for his whole career. I ain't been a fan of hardly anybody their whole career. Not even LeBron. He was what, 8, 9 years into his career before I started paying attention to basketball. So bottom line is I got more warmed up to him seeing when I caught a couple of his streams like last year where he's just not persona up. It's just him chilling, playing like 2K and talking about shit and talking about I think I caught one of his streams where he's reminiscing about stories about meeting Kobe and stuff like that and how that affected him at a young age and blah blah blah. So I got a bit more of his mindset to where I became indifferent. But if you're asking me if it's Luka Doncic, who I'm cool with, I'm starting to see the appeal of Luka Doncic, like you said, always the bridesmaid and stuff, and a guy I'm indifferent to. versus a Boston team, I'm rooting for Luca and the guy I'm indifferent to over the Boston team, especially after the things Boston teams have done to my St. Louis teams. So yeah,
Yeah, that's fair-ish. Fair-ish.
yeah.
I'll take it. Well, we'll see what happens on that one. We'll cover it. We'll keep covering it. We'll be back on it next week, where it'll be a little bit deeper into the series. Something that should be wrapped up by the next time we talk, Omari, is going to be the NHL finals. We still have the Dallas Stars and the Edmonton Oilers battling it out, as well as the Florida Panthers and the New York Rangers. We got Florida leading their series 3-2, and we got Edmonton leading their series 3-2. Florida and New York are going to be playing this evening, and then we have Dallas and Edmonton playing tomorrow. Either series could end in their next game, or they at least have two games left. But they're fighting tooth and nail. Like these playoffs are gonna they're gonna
That's a competitive playoffs, like the
absolutely.
NBA. NBA people are just sweeping each other. NHL, they're like, nah, we out here in the trenches, figuratively and literally. What's
So
that?
we'll be back again with this one next week. Again, it's on the same status that it was last week when we talked. It was just at the start of the series. And it is still actively exactly the picks that you and I wanted. The Rangers and the Oilers and the Panthers and the Stars. So we'll see what happens next week on that one. On to topic number two, Omari, we're going to bring back some MLB because some things have happened. We're getting a little closer to a significant point in the season. You know, when I was a kid, my grandfather always used to say Flag Day. It's Flag Day, Omari. You can't judge your team until Flag Day.
All right.
That's when you're in a significant portion of the season.
Yeah.
We're it's a little bit more than a quarter. I think it's not quite a third.
No, that's fair.
Flag
Base.
Day was always his
All right.
marking point. I think it's sometime in June. I'm not
No,
positive
I
on when
like
Flag Day
that.
is. So let's run through some stuff real quick. We got our MLB standings. So on top of the AL East is the New York Yankees, who are being the New York Yankees right now. They're kind of dominating their field. They're playing very good baseball, but Baltimore is still great team and nipping at their heels, only two games back. The rest of the division, you're talking about double digit deficits in the games back column. The AL Central, the Cleveland Guardians are currently winning, and they're holding that spot pretty well with the Kansas City Royals 4 games back. The AL West, Seattle Mariners are on the top of the division with the Texas Rangers, the former World Series champions, 4 games back in second place in that one. National League East, the Philadelphia Phillies are right up there with the New York Yankees as like appearing to be dominating right now this season, with the Atlanta Braves 6.5 games back in second place. The National League Central, the Milwaukee Brewers are top the division, with the St. Louis Cardinals making a strong push the last few weeks and moving up several spots in the division to be 6 games back. But this is going to be an ultra competitive division all season long. After you have the Milwaukee Brewers, you have the Cardinals at 6 games back, the Cubs at 6.5 games back, the Pirates at 8, and the Cincinnati Reds at 9. So everybody is clustered right there. It's going to be a dogfight all the way to the end, I think, on that one. National League West, the Los Angeles Dodgers, as most people would expect, are top of this division, with the San Diego Padres nipping at their heels at 5.5 games back. The stories, Omari, are, like I mentioned in the roundup, the New York Yankees and the Philadelphia Phillies on the American League and the National League side right now. But as always, season's incredibly long. Things can absolutely change. On the converse side of things, the Chicago White Sox and the Chicago White Sox
All right.
are going to be fighting for one of the worst records of all time, currently sitting at 15-43. Um, Uh, so we'll keep an we'll keep an eye on that as well. I also wanted to touch on a few of our big stars going right now. As always, in our hitters category, we got Mookie Betts, we got Shohei Ohtani, but in the last couple of weeks, we have a surge. We have a surge from our former MVP, Aaron Judge, who just got off the back of hitting 60 home runs. This man is
Dude's
right
ridiculous
back
from what I hear.
right back at it. He's now at 20 home runs. He's topping almost every hitting category as we speak. So we want to keep an eye on him. And now a really cool thing happened in the world of MLB this week, Omari, and it is the Major League Baseball has officially added players' stats from the Negro Leagues to its historical record. Move that allows black players contributions to be credited alongside their white counterparts. Previously, Negro Leagues players were omitted from these archives, meaning the records they set were not acknowledged by the MLB, essentially erasing their successes. The change incorporates Negro League players' stats from a time when baseball was still segregated and black players were barred from playing in the major leagues. Following the addition, black athletes from the Negro Leagues now hold several records, including the highest career batting average at 372, held by former Homestead Grays player and probably what most consider the greatest Negro League player of all time, Josh Gibson, who aged out of baseball just too late to get his stamp in the majors. And the argument against this in the past always used to be, well, it was a secondary league, and like the product was not um up to the standard of the MLB. And as we know now from history, that is just nonsense.
Yeah.
And I loved this stat that I saw over the week, Omari, and I wrote it down because I wanted to mention it. From 1949 integration to 1962, 11 of the 14 MVPs were black. The second they were allowed into the game, they were the best players in it. Don't tell me that that was a secondary league. That was probably the better. We have now, because of this incorporation of data, we actually have over 500 exhibition games between Negro League teams and Major League Baseball teams actively as segregation was happening. And those records showed that they were equivalent, if not better, than the Major League Baseball product. So this is a really great step for our stats and our history of baseball, and in particular these greats like Satchel Paige and Josh Gibson
Mm.
that didn't that just missed the chance for the national stage
They
and to
finally get
be
the
and to be in the
recognition
and
they
to be in the
deserve.
history books. So now
No, I
now
think
they
that's
are in
really
those
cool.
history books.
I think it's really cool that that's happened, and I was unaware of the exhibitions between the two and everything because, well, history's written by the winners and all that shit. So you don't, if you don't take the time to educate yourself like that, you wouldn't know. So I'm happy that that's added to the greater thing for the future generations and stuff to see and all of that. So that was really cool to hear about, and just a huge shakeup of like what records are now different records and stuff like that. I know Josh Gibson, like you said, has taken a lot, and well deservingly that he's finally getting his recognition. So yeah, I thought it was cool to hear. I thought it was funny to see, speaking of wrestling, JBL tweeting out like a positive tweet about it. Like, it's about time to do so and so. And I'm like, the difference between a character on screen
Oh
and the
yeah,
real
no.
life
Yeah, we would be going off topic, but yeah, there's I saw an interview with him a long while ago where the interviewer opened the show with like, and it's just kind of like it looks exactly like this because they're over Zoom, and he's like, "You're gonna hate this, but I'm gonna do it, because you're old school and kayfabe's never dead, brother, but This guy is the absolute polar opposite of everything that he's ever played on screen. Almost literally, like he invests his time and money into charities based in uplifting minorities, and he's like a frequent contributor to Negro League
Yeah.
baseball thing, like related things, and
I
uh
wasn't thinking, but I should have found and
I
grabbed
think
one
he
of my
was
Negro
literally
League
wearing a
hats.
Kansas City Monarchs jersey
Nice.
while he was doing the interview. But yeah, yeah, that's a
Yeah,
really cool thing because he
I
played
I
such a evil, mean dude.
I have two Negro League hats. I don't know why I didn't think to wear one of them today, but I do have two. One for the STL team and one that had an
Which
E
one?
on it.
The Stars or
Stars.
yeah, yeah, I have a Stars hat as well.
See, I'm telling you, it's a thing about stars and my affinity toward the stars.
Yeah, so that's our MLB roundup, and we'll be hitting it up again real soon because again, long season. Omari, third
Uh,
topic, UFL.
UFL, it is week 10, the final week, and we've got some games going on today and tomorrow. So today we've got two games that pretty much determine home field advantage for the two conferences. We got at two, we got the Panthers and the Stallions going against each other. The Stallions no longer undefeated. They've lost one of their games, and they're going against the Panthers, who are 7-2. So whoever wins that's probably going to get home field advantage on that side. Meanwhile, in the XFL division, we got the Brahmas, the Rocks team, 7-2, leading the XFL division, facing our Battlehawks, who fell to 6-3 over the past couple weeks. Not that far behind. Winner today of that game also gets
Oh,
home field advantage. And with the
oh.
Battlehawks Stadium, yeah, cause law. With the Battlehawk Stadium being the stadium for the finals, whoever's in the finals, we need the Battlehawks in there. Man, that would be so loud. Meanwhile, tomorrow in the other divisions with the other guys, we got the Renegades and Defenders facing each other. And then the two 1-8 teams. Somebody's going to be a one-win team on the season as the Roughnecks face the Showboats tomorrow night. Who will be the worst team in the UFL? Only time will tell. Unfortunately, that's how it turned out. They're both 1-8.
Yeah.
Like,
So, Omar, do you think Battlehawks can pull it off?
I do. Yes, because we're at home today. I believe McCarron's back. I'm scared that Aitman is injured because he's out. He's one of our good receivers. But we got McCarron back. He was injured like 2 weeks ago, I believe. He wasn't starting. And so we got our quarterback. He just signed a new contract. He is about St. Louis. He loves this place. He said it last year, and I guess he meant it. He's like, I don't have to go back to the NFL. I like St. Louis fans. I like the Battlehawks. I like playing here. I like living in the city. This is my home now. So you know what? I want him to go out there, win the championship for us. And this is about the of the teams I root for personally that I actually am invested in. The team, this is the first time in a long time I've had a chance of just like, yeah, the team can be good. So you damn right I'm rooting for it. I have faith in the Cardinals. I'll tell you at the start of every season, the Cardinals are doing it. But I don't pay enough attention to baseball to fully believe that. I just want to support the homeboys. But Battlehawks,
I
they
pay
got the
enough attention to
firepower.
baseball, and I don't believe that. So,
I still think with them only being 6 games behind and like 100 games to go, the Cardinals can do it
well,
this season.
it's an interesting thing with baseball, and I don't know how much this is a thing for other sports, and maybe we can talk this out. Um, but trades, mid-season trades at the deadline, are very prevalent, and like it's
Yeah,
pretty. Like I don't know how often it's happening. I know NBA it happens, but I don't know if it's like every year. If you're in contention, you're making moves to improve your team to be just that much better before the playoffs. And if you're not in contention, you're often making moves to send some of your players that are about ready to be up in contract or what have
Yeah,
you
that's
to get
that's pretty
moves
common.
for the future. Um, so there's a point where when you're a team that is, I don't know if I want to use the word middling,
Okay.
but that's the word that's coming to mind now. Usually, in order to trade for improvement now, you have to lose potential improvement in the
You're
future.
correct.
Do you want your team to do that? When it's a that's what I'm struggling with this year, and what
Mm,
I'm so we can trade in the midseason and potentially win this year's division and get into the playoffs. Anything can happen in the playoffs. You will be able, even with a very good trade, you would likely be losing on paper
hmm
in any matchup in your playoff route. But anything can happen.
correct. Hey, 9-7 beat 16-0.
You you actively currently already have a little bit of a problem in your futures stock, in pitching and in hitting. You're not you're not anywhere in the best in the league. You might not be the worst. You might be close to the worst in a couple of categories, but you don't have like there's nobody on the horizon
Gotcha.
that is like, oh man, like wow.
We're two things away from
Yeah.
let's get that pitcher.
Um, so do you want them to remove stock that you even the stock that you do have for something for the major league roster that might be around for a half a year, or do you want to continue to compile assets for the future? That's so that you can be greater than you ever could be currently.
I mean,
That's
that's
kind of the
fair.
struggle I am in currently as a fan of the St. Louis Cardinals. I don't
Aren't we
know what I
usually the
want on
latter?
that one.
Aren't we usually the latter? The hold on to our development and do our own thing, or do we usually go heavy with the trades?
No, we are usually improved for today
Oh, okay.
in a sacrifice of tomorrow
Mm,
because because historically our division has been weak and our city really likes to win the division, and so our city, our the St. Louis Cardinals actively want to do that many years, and so they will sacrifice a future prospect in order to get they'll
good
sacrifice
division.
a future pitcher in order to get a hitter today that is going to win several games in the aggregate for them this season, which that pitcher that they traded wouldn't do.
Yeah.
So they'll often kind of make those decisions. Um,
But
and
now it's
in
biting us because we don't have a lot of youth.
right, right, you end up running out of the people that are going to come in, and and also we have I think it's in particular 3 years, 2004, 2006, and then 2011. 2004, we had one of the greatest St. Louis Cardinal teams ever assembled. They won over 100 games in the season. They dominated. They had the MVP threes, Albert Pujols, Jim Edmonds, and Scott Rowland. They had Chris Carpenter. They had an incredible pitching staff, an incredible lineup, won a million games in the regular season, in the playoffs.
And that is that the team that got swept by Boston?
Correct. In 2006, they got into the playoffs with one of the worst records for any team to ever get in the playoffs. And what did they do? Won the whole thing. In 2011, they went on a crazy winning streak at the end of the season to just
Rabbit
barely
squirrels.
back into the playoffs at the very last night of the season. And then they won the whole thing. Those 3 years convinced the St. Louis Cardinals that anything can happen and why all you got to do is get in. And I'm just kind of tired of that as a fan because it's been since 2011, and maybe that's a jaded St. Louis Cardinals fan in me. But we put a lot of money into the team. Like there are a lot of fans that would make this argument possibly and haven't won in a long time, but also their team isn't being financially supported like the St. Louis Cardinals team is. This city is regularly in the top of attendance, competing with major metropolitan locations like New York and Los Angeles.
I mean, it's
So,
the only real sport. Well, I mean, we got the hockey team, but it's the only like major team we got that's a St. Louis team through and through.
yeah. And I mean, yeah, and we're just always we've been a baseball city forever, and we're one of the older teams, and we've been good. We were fortunate to be good very early on, and so we built a strong fan base. There's lots of things. The radio station that held Cardinal games just happened to be one of the strongest single signaled radio stations in the country. So it broadcast to like 9 different states in the Midwest, and thus the St. Louis Cardinals got this giant reaching fan base way back in the early
Mm-hmm.
20th century.
Doing their
So
spring trainings in Florida, you have a lot of Cardinals fans down here that just like, yeah, I love the Cardinals. They come down here every spring.
yeah, so there's a lot of money coming into the Cardinals, and I don't know. It's just I'm just kind of tired of a C plus B minus mentality
I
that's
hear you
like,
on
hey,
that.
we
Uh,
passed and we're in the playoffs kind of vibe. Because that
I,
also ends up getting you not in the playoffs 3 out of 5 years.
Trust me, I would rather be a dynasty than the team that's like the opposite because I've never had that opportunity to be a dynasty or at least a fan of a dynasty rather.
Hmm.
So I would much rather be that, but at least if we're not going to be the dynasty, the getting in there and turning every opportunity it well not every but turning those opportunities into championships is also a good ability to have historically for your team, like the 2006 2011, because again, I would like to continue it after we do those things. But if we're going to win, it's a lot less, you're a lot less hated for winning when you're the guy that came from behind than you are when you're just shitting on everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's that. But I'm with you. I would like us to be good consistently. But and so I don't look as stupid when I'm like, yeah, Cardinals are doing it this year because we did it in 2011. See, like you said, that taught us that we could do so. And as someone who casually follows baseball, that's always been my take. It's like we did it in 2011. Baseball season's 120 games. Talk to me in September. And my ass was in September of 2011 told by Big Bro Ibn as we watched the Cardinals lose a game to the Brewers in Busch Stadium. Yeah, we ain't doing shit this year because our record is trash. And we lost that game. So I'm told we're trash and we lost the game in September. October, we're the champions. And so that's why I always am just like, I hear you. Sky's falling. It's all right, though. We're the Cardinals. We'll do it. We just need another like Rowley Squirrel esque motivational moment.
We'll see. All right, we just went through a small sports therapy session here on You Don't Watch Sports. You can catch us talk about a bunch of different nonsense over on our other show called This Guy Hasn't Seen, where we trade media back and forth like a book club, but for things that you watch with your eyeballs instead of read with your eyeballs. Um, and then we're also working on another show called Mock Draft, where we just draft some fun things back and forth. We also have an ongoing fantasy league for professional wrestling on that show, which is really cool and has completely changed how I watch the entertainment product. Omari, don't you have something else to tell us?
Yes. I also have another show called that you can find elsewhere on YouTube and hopefully soon on this channel as well called Whatever We Want. Hopefully. We'll see. You know. Called Whatever We Want. I do it with a good friend of mine, a good friend of the show and channel Super Jazz.
Super Jazz.
Thank you very much, as nature intended. Yeah, so we'll see how that goes. We talk about just that, whatever we want. It's usually on Wednesdays. We're getting back into the season with that, a show with that. We got a couple episodes out of season 4. And like I said, we'll see about eventually like getting on the channel as well. But you can still find that elsewhere on YouTube. I also have a Twitter and Twitch at Giotavi. That is Giotavi. Come on in, stop on by.
Bye.
Yes, sir. And yeah, I think that's that.
Have a good sports week, everybody.